When will I need to replace the battery pack in my electric vehicle? Perhaps the most commonly asked question that I see online and that I also receive myself. Well, in today's video, I am giving you the answer, backed by some real-world data. Today, we're driving the 2026 Ford Mustang Mach-E. I'm Luke, and welcome to this driving review of The Future is Electric. This is the select standard range, so this is essentially the entry-level version. In Malta, it starts at just a bit above 42,000 euros. That's including 2026 government incentives on electric vehicles. It does have the technology package, which we talk about in detail in my interior review that will be linked down below. But for today, the driving. So we have an SUV, the most popular vehicle segment worldwide, though the proportions have that coupe-like feeling nonetheless, which is very nice. Driving position is high, but I wouldn't say too high up, right? You still maintain a bit of that low-ishness driving feel to give it a more sporty feel indeed. This is the smaller of two battery options, right? Which gets 470 kilometers ranges at 72 kilowatt battery, right? So quite big nonetheless. There's also the extended range version, which pushes over 600 kilometers WLTP. Now, in today's video, I'm actually doing a range test. So we're gonna see out in the real world if these WLTP numbers actually stand ground. Now, when it comes to performance, as I said, this is the entry-level version of the car. Single motor, rear-wheel drive, delivering over 260 horsepower, 525 Newton meters of torque. I mean, the sprint here from 0 to 100 in 6.2 seconds. It is an electric vehicle. You press on the throttle, and she goes. And we're not even in that crazy GT model which I tried out last year. This is the entry-level version, and there is more than enough power than you will ever need in a city and even a highway driving environment, right? Now, on the topic of performance, I want to tell you about the driving modes, because we have 3 to choose from here. There's no physical button to flip through them. You have to go to the screen, controls of the car, and you change between Whisper, Active, and Untamed. Active is our normal mode. It's what I'm going to have it in for most of the day here in my range test. And it's balancing range and power, and the car feels pretty good in this setting. If you want to conserve energy and go a longer distance, then Whisper is the place you want to be. Right away, you do start to feel a bit of more weakness, so to speak, in the way the power is delivered as you're pressing on that accelerator pedal. But if it's speed and power you want, then you shift it into the Untamed or Untamed mode. And this unleashes all the horsepower the car has to offer. And even at a rolling start, as I have here, as you push, you will never get used to that. The instant torque you get out of an electric vehicle needs to be experienced. And yes, we don't have the internal combustion sound, but there is nothing like instant torque. And that internal combustion sound has been replaced with what they call a propulsion sound, which I will now turn on. So you get to have a bit of fun nonetheless. So I've come to this car park here because I want to demonstrate the one pedal driving mode and explain what all of this is about, essentially. So you activate it again from the center screen. There is a switch which you go and you turn on. And once I've done that, I can literally drive this car using just one foot, basically using just not only one foot, but just the accelerator pedal. So as I press the accelerator, the car will go. As I lift my foot off the accelerator, the car will stop, and it will come to a complete stop. So this is great in traffic. right? It means your left foot can just chill over there and your right foot is doing all the driving here. So just accelerate, lift off, and complete stop. As I said, in a city environment, in traffic, this is a game changer. You do not want to have this setting on say, a highway where you want to keep flowing, because every time you lift off, the car is going to start braking. But in traffic, one pedal driving really needs to be experienced. So a little section here about safety. So this car has a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating. That is the highest score available. And it's also a combination of not just crash tests, right? That they don't only do crash tests, but they check the technology in the car, keeping the driver and also pedestrian safe. So for example, automatic emergency braking, lane assist, and it keeps you in the center of your lane. And what I like here today in my driving test is this is a brand new car. I'm probably the first person to actually drive it. I literally peeled off the stickers myself this morning. They give me permission to do that. Basically, out of the factory, I did not have the unpleasurable experience of all these sensors and beeps going off and annoying me because this, because that, which I tend to get today a lot in EVs and new cars, right? And that has not been the case. So good job Ford, who have enabled a 5-star safety rating, have all these safety features in the car, and yet for me today, it hasn't beeped at me like a maniac. So I want to make a bit of a note here to answer the question, when will you need to replace the battery pack of this car? Because I think it's a bit of public knowledge that is a very big cost, right? The battery pack is usually a third to 1/2 the price of the vehicle, so quite a substantial amount. And if you're thinking about changing it, that's going to be a painful future to endure. So what have we learned in the real world? Well, I've come across an article by Forbes who met up with a guy in California who has a Ford Mustang Mach-E, been using it now for a number of years, and he's done 500,000 kilometers in this Ford Mustang Mach-E. That's like the equivalent of circling the globe like 13 times. And the question comes out, right? Well, how many battery packs did he have to replace to go such a distance, right? And the answer is none. He is still on the original battery pack, which has degraded by just 8% after 500,000 kilometers. So when will you need to replace the battery pack? Probably never. So I have completed the 50-kilometer loop. As I do with all the EVs on the channel, I test them in the normal driving mode, air conditioning turned on for the journey, and we get to see what the real world driving range is today here in Malta in today's conditions, which is 16 degrees Celsius, a bit on the colder side for Malta, right? And knowing the size of my battery, knowing the efficiency, which the Mach-E is telling us was 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, we can take that 72 kilowatt hour usable battery, that's in what's in this car, the smaller battery size, right? And do the math, and we end up with a real world range of 360 kilometers in today's conditions, which is quite a bit shy from the 470 kilometers that the WLTP range is claimed at. That's quite a significant difference, I would say. An interesting thing we get with the Mach-E is that it tells us how the energy was used. So 63% went to the actual driving. We lost 9% to the air conditioning, which is not bad at all. 17% to the accessories, so that's the screens, sensors, cameras, etc. And we lost 11% today due to the slightly colder, I guess, outside temperature, far away from that ideal temperature for lithium-ion batteries, which sits around 25 degrees Celsius. My driving style hasn't influenced the range so nearly at all. I can prove this, because the Mach-E tells us, right? How was my driving? I got nearly 100% in everything, in the way I was driving in terms of speed, acceleration and deceleration. So I haven't thrown off the range meter because of my driving. It's one of the first cars I've seen which actually tells us this, right? In a city-like driving experience, do you need more range? That's the question. I mean, 360 kilometers will last the average driver here in Malta, I'd say, around 2 weeks between every single charging session. So, do we need better than that? Probably not. Ford Mustang Mach-E. What do you guys think of it? If you own one, please share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And to the rest of the viewers, if this video was useful to you, please hit the like, subscribe and hype buttons. There is more content, right? You can check out my experience with the GT, the performance level variant, linked below, as well as an interior review of this very car with this black onyx interior and technology package, which we discuss in detail in that interior review. But until next time, I hope I've convinced you, as always, that the future is electric.